Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of voice for radio. So today, I am here to show you a rather fun Meowstic card. Yeah, that's right. We're talking Meowstic, ladies and gentlemen. And Meowstic is back to kind of do what Meowstic has done before. I know. Cryptic, right? Let's take a gander. I should mention, of course, that our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, which is something by now you should firstly be guessing, and secondly, be fairly used to hearing. Now, starting off with the basics, 90 HP is low, boo, hiss, etc. We've got a retreat cost of 1, which means you can use U-turn board for free retreat, which is nice. We've got a resistance to fighting, and given the amount of fighting weak Pokemon out there like Eternatus and Crobat and all of that, this isn't bad. I mean, you still got a terrible 90 HP, but anytime a lot of good Pokemon share a weakness, and at the moment that is fighting, and arguably fire, that means that it's a good time to have a resistance to it. And you got a weakness to darkness. Now, Eternatus really shouldn't worry you too much because you've got 90 HP. Even if you weren't weak, if there are 3 Pokemon on the field, Eternatus will get a one-hit KO. But it's more things like Spiritomb. Now, here's what I will tell you. Having 90 HP rather than 80 means that a Spiritomb with a single damage counter on won't get a KO, but you're a stage 1 Pokemon that's getting kind of embarrassing. Now, you are a Psychic Pokemon, which means weakness on stuff like Mewtwo and Mew means you can take advantage of Horror Energy to do a bit of extra damage to Pokemon that are attacking you. It's not too bad. But what does it actually do? Well, our focus here is very much on the ability. Once during your turn, you may move 1 damage counter from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's like Jinx, but instead of being for your Pokemon, it's from yours to your opponents. And this is awesome. Now, one thing that does need to be pointed out here, this isn't a basic Pokemon. And one of the reasons that Jinx is so gosh darn good is because Jinx is a basic Pokemon. And basic Pokemon means a couple of things. Basic Pokemon means less space taken up in your deck. Basic Pokemon means you can play it down and use it, it's a turn 1 option, etc. And basic Pokemon means scoop up net. I would be telling a big fat lie, quite frankly, if I told you that there hadn't been games where I'd use Jinx, played a scoop up net, and then just use Jinx again. Really good. We've already mentioned Spiritomb, incidentally. Jinx, remember, moves a damage counter from one of your Pokemon to another, and Spiritomb's got that ability, well, the attack. The ability damages itself, and then the attack does 10 damage plus 30 for each damage counter on it. So you can do things like play 2 Spiritomb, they each damage themselves, but then Jinx moves 1 damage counter over to the other Spiritomb, so you've got 1 undamaged and 1 with 2 damage on that does more damage to your opponent. Jinx has proven to be a really good card for things like Spiritomb. And there is a strong argument that Meowstic is better. Now, of course, Meowstic is a stage 1, we've talked about that sucks, etc. Boo, hiss, all of that. But this is awesome. And the thing is, we've seen this before. And not only have we seen this before, we've seen this on Meowstic. Meowstic EX, once during your turn, if this is your active Pokemon, you may move 1 damage counter from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This doesn't have to be active, and only gives up 1 prize rather than 2. Meowstic was a 2 prize EX of 160 HP, which was frankly, well, it was a little bit embarrassing, if I'm honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to be rude about it, but doesn't fill my heart with joy. Wasn't particularly fun. And this saw a whole bunch of play in Gyarados decks, of all things. Now, this was the Gyarados from Ancient Origins, the one with the ancient trait Theta Double, which let you have 2 tools attached to you. And essentially, so you could have like 2 choice bands to do an extra 60 damage to EXs, so ha! But this would use full retaliation, 30 damage, plus 30 more for each damage counter on each of your benched Magikarp. So you would be playing a deck that used like Team Magma's Secret Base, for instance, which would damage every Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on when you benched it, unless they were Team Magma, but it never really was. And then, not only would that damage your own Magikarp, not only would it damage your opponent's Pokemon, but it would damage your non-Magikarp, and then you could use Meowstic to move damage over, and this could be exactly what you needed. Because Gyarados was hitting 30 damage, plus 30 more for each damage counter on each of your bench Magikarp. So 3 bench Magikarp, because one had to evolve, 2 damage counters on each, because they only had 30 HP. You're talking 6 damage counters on the bench, you're talking 210 damage. So what if you wanted to do 220? Meowstic, ladies and gentlemen. Meowstic. And now it's back, and I don't see this being any less useful. The fact that it's a stage 1 really puts me off, but the fact that it works from the bench rather than having to be active, and the fact that if it's KO'd it only gives up 1 prize, this makes me really happy indeed. I mean, if you played 2 Meowstic here, there is a great combo with Spikemuth. Spikemuth, whenever you switch to the bench, whether that's switching or retreating, you take 2 damage counters. So you play Spikemuth here, and essentially when your opponent goes and switches to the bench, they take 2 damage counters. And when you switch to the bench, you take 2 damage counters, which you immediately then use with Meowstic to put over on your opponent's Pokemon. But it's just any time you need to do a bit of healing. Your Pokemon are about to be KO'd, move the damage off. Or you're 10, 20 damage short of a KO, move the damage over to your opponent so that they're now in KO range. And what I adore here is you are making your Pokemon further away from being KO'd while putting your opponent's Pokemon closer to being KO'd, and you've got the really nice combo here with Spikemuth. There is an awful lot to like about this ability. It's still a stage 1, but I could absolutely see this helping a whole bunch of decks. You know, Pikachu and Zekrom's got full blitz. Only does 150. Really would like to get a KO on a Dedenne. Oh, I can move 1 damage counter over, and now I do get a KO. No one's actually going to play this in Pikarom, but it is a nice little example here. Something like a Zacian, for instance, that's hitting 260 after using ADP's GX attack. That's 10 away from a Mewtwo and Mew. That's 10 away from a Reshiram and Charizard. Just move the damage over. Tell me that doesn't sound like fun. Personally, I love the idea of this in any deck that plays Spikemuth. Now, there is an attack here, but it's really not one to get terribly excited about. 1 Psychic, 1 Colorless Energy, 50 damage. No. Just no. I don't like this. This isn't a good attack. This isn't a good attack at all. There's not much to be excited about here. Oh, you're doing 100 damage to a Psychic weak Pokemon. Like I told you about Mewtwo and Mew earlier. Well, Mewtwo and Mew's got 270. Even with weakness, you're only hitting 100. So this is a 2 energy attack that gets a free hit KO on Mewtwo and Mew, and you'll never last long enough to get that KO. You will get a 1-hit KO on a Snom, but who doesn't get a 1-hit KO on a Snom? It's not something to be particularly excited about. Like, even the Mewtwo from Unbroken Bonds that we use to put our supporter cards on top of our deck, it's got 120 HP, it's weak to Psychic. You'll need a Vitality Band to get a 1-hit KO. No. Not loving it. What I do find interesting here is that there are a couple of other Meowstic that you can take advantage of. Well, in Standard, there's one. We've got the Meowstic from Unbroken Bonds. Now, it's not particularly amazing. It really is used in a Caturday deck along with the Persian from Team Up, Unbroken Bonds, the one from Unbroken Bonds. And I'll be honest with you, even then, it's not the best Caturday Pokemon. But 1 colorless energy, draw 3 cards and go to sleep. It's nice in an emergency. 3 energy, 70 damage, and then make your opponent weak to Psychic. Could be good if you're playing other Psychic Pokemon. I'm not saying it's amazing, but it is nice to have other options. I think I'm going to go and give this Meowstic between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. On a basic Pokemon, I would think this is an absolutely stunning ability, which is going to see a huge amount of play. I would see it as way better than Jinx, and Jinx sees a bunch of play. As it is, I see it like a good, fun, interesting Pokemon that is likely to see some play. But by the same token, I don't think that this is a particularly amazing Pokemon. because it's a stage 1, but I do believe that a whole bunch of decks are going to make use of it. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.